Is prayer really that expensive? Why we struggle to invest time in talking to God? Prayer is free, yet for many people it feels like it costs too much. Not in money, but in something even more valuable. Time, trust, focus, vulnerability. We live in a world where speed is everything. Fast answers, quick results, instant gratification. But prayer doesn't always work that way. It takes time to pray. It takes effort to be still. It takes humility to come before God and admit that you don't have all the answers. So many people say they want to pray more, but they feel like they don't have time, or they don't know what to say, or they're not sure it even makes a difference. And in their minds, the price of prayer seems too high. But what if we've misunderstood the value of prayer entirely? What if the thing we avoid, because it feels like a cost, is actually the greatest investment we could ever make? Prayer is not expensive, neglecting it is. When we don't pray, we carry burdens we were never meant to hold. When we don't pray, we live with fear that could have been replaced by peace. When we don't pray, we miss divine wisdom that could have changed the direction of our lives. That's the real cost. The single mother who works 2 jobs and still finds 10 minutes to pray at night. That's a woman who understands the value of connection. The teenager who closes the door to his room and whispers, "God, I need you." He's investing in something eternal. The tired pastor who kneels before another long day of ministry, not out of obligation, but because he knows where his strength comes from. That's not a waste of time. That's worship. If you've ever said, "I want to pray, but I don't have time," let me ask you this. How much time do you spend worrying, overthinking, scrolling? What if you exchanged just 10 of those minutes to speak to the one who holds your future? What if you made room in your day, not for routine religion, but for a real relationship with God? Prayer is not a chore. It's not a burden. It's not something you have to do to be a good Christian. Prayer is a privilege, to come boldly before the throne of grace, to pour out your heart, to hear from the one who knows you better than anyone. Yet so many of us have been tricked into thinking prayer is costly, too costly for our schedules, too heavy for our emotional energy, too uncomfortable to be honest with God. But here's the truth. The more you think prayer costs you, the more you're probably overvaluing your own control. Because prayer is an act of surrender. It's you saying, "God, I can't carry this. I don't have the answers. I need you to lead." And that's uncomfortable, especially if you're used to depending on your own strength. But real strength doesn't come from independence. It comes from dependency on God. If you've been thinking that prayer is too much, too hard, too slow, too vague, let me invite you to shift your mindset. Instead of asking, "What does prayer cost me?" start asking, "What is it costing me to live without it?" If this message speaks to you, take a step of faith and comment below. Prayer is my priority now. Declare it, write it down. Let this be a turning point. Because what you don't pray through, you will carry, and eventually, it will carry you down. Make the choice to trade your anxiety for peace. Trade your confusion for clarity. Trade your burden for the strength that only comes when you lean on God. Prayer is not expensive, but the lack of it is devastating. If you're tired of carrying everything on your own, let this be your wake-up call. God is not waiting for perfect words. He's waiting for an honest heart. It doesn't matter if your prayers are short, or messy, or silent. What matters is that you show up, that you invite Him into your day. So today, set aside the excuse that you don't have time, because you can't afford not to. If this has opened your eyes, share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that God is available right now. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next message, because we're just getting started. Your relationship with God isn't measured by perfection. It's built on moments, and this could be the moment your prayer life truly begins. The real cost of not praying. What you lose when you don't talk to God. Many people think prayer costs too much time, too much energy, too much vulnerability. But the truth is, the greatest cost doesn't come from praying. It comes from not praying at all. When you stop praying or never begin, you don't just lose the habit. You lose connection, you lose clarity, you lose peace. And slowly, without even noticing it, you begin to drift. Not because God left you, but because you stopped showing up. Let's be honest, life is loud, life is busy. We are pulled in 1,000 directions. Our phones demand our attention, our work demands our focus, our families need our strength, and prayer, it feels quiet, still. So it's easy to push it aside, to say, "I'll pray later." Later becomes tomorrow Tomorrow becomes next week, and eventually, you forget what it even felt like to hear God's voice. That's the cost. It's not just spiritual, it's practical. When you stop praying, you start making decisions based on fear instead of wisdom. You start looking for approval from people instead of peace from God. You start chasing productivity instead of purpose. You become reactive, not led. You carry weight you were never built to hold. You lose the one thing that could have grounded you, the presence of God in your everyday life. Prayer isn't a performance. It's not something reserved for pastors, theologians, or people who have it all together. Prayer is the raw, honest, daily conversation with the one who already knows everything about you and loves you anyway. So why do we avoid it? Because deep down, many of us are afraid that God might not answer, afraid we might not know what to say, afraid we're not spiritual enough, afraid of being still long enough to feel what we've been avoiding. But let me ask you, what if you stopped letting fear write the script? What if you chose to believe that God already knows and still wants to hear from you anyway? The cost of silence is too high. You can't afford to stay disconnected from the only source of peace that never runs out. When you stop praying, anxiety increases. Discernment fades, patience wears thin, faith begins to die quietly, not all at once, but slowly. And one day you wake up and you're still going to church, still serving, still showing up on the outside, but inside, empty, because prayer is what fills the soul. You need it more than you need food, more than you need routine, more than you need answers. You need presence, you need power, you need peace. Prayer gives you access to all of that and more. So stop thinking of it as something optional. Stop waiting for the right moment. Stop underestimating the power of just one honest prayer. Prayer isn't about having the right words. It's about having the right posture, one of surrender, one of humility, one of childlike trust. When you stop praying, the consequences are subtle but deadly. You may still be functioning, but you're no longer led. You may still be productive, but you're no longer connected. You may still be strong, but you're no longer anchored. And when life hits hard, and it will, you'll wish you had built the habit of talking to God. If you're tired of carrying life without peace, comment below, "I'm coming back to prayer." Let this be your declaration today. God isn't waiting to punish you. He's waiting to welcome you, not with judgment, but with joy. All it takes is one whispered, "God, I need you," and the silence starts to break. Your heart softens, His presence returns. He never left. You just stopped listening. But today, that can change. So before you scroll past, before you move on to the next thing, stop. Take 30 seconds, close your eyes, and talk to God. Even if it's just, "I miss you." That one sentence could be the start of something new. If this message reached your heart, share it with someone who's been silent for too long. And if you're ready to rebuild your prayer life, subscribe and turn on notifications. You are not alone, you are not too far. And it's not too late. Come back to the conversation that was always meant to sustain you. Prayer is not expensive. Losing your connection with God is. What prayer gives you that nothing else can. People look everywhere for peace, strength, clarity, and comfort. They scroll through endless content, hoping to find the right words. They read self-help books. They vent to friends. They chase success, believing that fulfillment is around the next goal, the next promotion, the next relationship. But there's something none of those things can give you. They can't give you what prayer gives you. Prayer isn't just a spiritual exercise. It's a lifeline. It's where your soul remembers what it was created for. Connection with the God who made you, knows you, and never stops loving you. There are things only prayer can unlock. And if you don't pray, you'll keep reaching for everything else, wondering why nothing satisfies. You weren't made to live disconnected from your Creator. That's why prayer, even when it feels small, resets everything. Here's what prayer gives you that nothing else can. 1. Prayer gives you peace that doesn't make sense. Not temporary relief, not emotional numbness, but true peace. Deep, unshakable, soul-calming peace. Even in the storm, even without the answers, even when the pain is still present. Prayer takes your eyes off the chaos and places them on the one who never changes. 2. Prayer gives you perspective. When you're in the middle of stress, your view gets small. Prayer lifts your eyes. You remember that God sees what you don't, that He's working in ways you can't see. that your current situation is not your final destination. 3. Prayer gives you strength. Not fake confidence, not forced positivity. Real, God-given endurance to get through what you didn't think you could. Because when you pray, you're not standing in your own ability anymore. You're leaning on God's. 4. Prayer gives you direction. When you don't know what to do next, prayer invites God to lead. It opens your ears to His voice. It silences the noise of fear and doubt. And when you follow Him, you're no longer wandering. You're walking in purpose. 5. Prayer gives you intimacy with God. Not just belief in Him, but real relationship. A place where you can be fully honest, where you don't have to perform, where you are seen, heard, and held. That's what your heart really craves. No app can give you that. No routine can replace it. No earthly relationship can compete with it, because there are things only prayer can bring. Yet so many people walk through life never tapping into it. They go to church but don't pray. They know scripture but never sit still long enough to listen. They believe in God but never talk to Him. Prayer is not about religion, it's about relationship. And relationships are built through time, trust, and truth. You don't have to pray long, you just have to pray real. The best prayers aren't polished, they're honest, raw, present. God, I'm tired. God, I don't know what to do. God, thank you for this breath. These are the prayers that touch heaven. These are the prayers that shift your heart. These are the prayers that align you with God's best. So if you've been trying everything else, but still feel empty, anxious, or unsure, come back to the place where you were always meant to start. Prayer will give you what nothing else can, because nothing else is Him. If this stirred something in your heart, comment below. Prayer is my place of peace. And if you want more messages like this, subscribe and turn on notifications. You are not meant to do life alone. You are not meant to carry this weight in your own strength. There's more available to you. More wisdom, more clarity, more strength, more peace, more intimacy with your Creator. But you only find it in one place, in prayer. Come back to where you belong. God is not asking you to be perfect. He's asking you to be present. Take a moment right now, close your eyes, and say something honest to God. That's prayer, and it changes everything. Prayer in real life, how to make it work in your busy, imperfect world. We often treat prayer like it belongs to a different kind of life, a quieter life, a slower life, a life with candlelit rooms, soft music, and no interruptions. But what about real life? What about the single mom with 2 jobs and dinner on the stove? What about the student with assignments and anxiety? What about the business owner managing chaos, the nurse working the night shift, the dad driving home in silence? Where does prayer fit there? It fits right in the middle. Prayer is not for perfect moments. It's for your actual life, the fast life, the distracted life, the stressed, stretched, uncertain life. God is not waiting for you to become more peaceful before He wants to hear from you. He wants your voice in the middle of the mess. And that's the part most people miss. They believe prayer needs a script, a structure, a sacred schedule, so they don't pray at all. But in real life, prayer looks different. It looks like whispering, "God help me," as you walk into a meeting, saying thank you while loading the dishwasher, asking for strength in the middle of your 5th email draft, crying in the car, and simply saying, "I need you." This is what prayer looks like in the real world, and it still reaches heaven. If you believe prayer only counts when it's long and quiet, you'll miss the thousands of tiny moments every day when your soul could have connected with God. What if prayer wasn't a separate part of your life? What if it was woven into it? Prayer at your desk, prayer on your commute, prayer while walking the dog, prayer while waiting in line. It doesn't have to be polished. It just has to be genuine. You don't need a perfect setting. You just need an open heart. The power of prayer is not in the setting, it's in the surrender. If you've been telling yourself, "I'll start praying when things slow down," you've already missed it, because this is your life, right now, and prayer belongs in the middle of it. Here's how to make it work. 1. Start small. Don't aim for 30 minutes of prayer if you've never done 3. Start with 1 sentence, 1 thought, 1 moment of stillness. 2. Use what you have. Set a reminder on your phone to pause and pray during lunch. Write prayers in your planner. Record a voice note on your drive. 3. Build rhythm, not rules. Instead of forcing a time slot, look for natural rhythms in your day. Morning coffee, brushing your teeth, ending your day. 4. Be honest. God isn't impressed by long-winded prayers. He's moved by honest hearts. If you're angry, say it. If you're confused, admit it. He already knows. 5. Keep going. Some days it will feel powerful. Other days it won't. Keep praying. It's not about how it feels. It's about staying connected. When prayer becomes part of your real life, you stop separating God time from lifetime. It all becomes one. God walks with you into every meeting. He sits beside you at the dinner table. He rides with you in traffic. He listens when you don't know what to say. That's the kind of relationship prayer invites you into. Not formal, not distant, not rare, but personal, daily, close. If this opened your eyes to what prayer could look like in your real life, comment below. Prayer fits my life. Let this be your declaration today. Prayer isn't a ritual, it's a relationship. You don't have to change your life to pray. You just have to invite God into the one you already have. He's not looking for perfect. He's looking for present, right now, as you are. This is the moment prayer becomes real. The return to prayer. It's never too late to start again. Maybe you used to pray. Maybe prayer was once a part of your day, your rhythm, your routine. But then life changed. You got busy. You got hurt. You got discouraged. The silence was too loud. The answers didn't come fast enough. And slowly, without even realizing it, you stopped. You stopped talking. You stopped listening. You still believe deep down, but the connection, it's distant. Now prayer feels foreign, awkward, out of place. You tell yourself, I don't know how to come back. But here's the truth. You never left God's heart. He's not waiting with a list of your missed prayers. He's waiting with open arms. No guilt, no shame, no timeline to catch up on. Just an invitation. Start again. The greatest lie the enemy tells you is that you're too far gone, too inconsistent, too broken to rebuild your prayer life. But the greatest truth is that God doesn't care where you've been. He just wants you back. This isn't about performing. It's about reconnecting. It's about remembering that you were created to walk with God, to talk with Him, not perfectly, but personally. You don't have to start with an hour. You don't have to have the right words. You just have to be willing to speak again. God, I'm here. That's enough. That's the kind of prayer that starts a wildfire. Because when you come back, not to religion, but to relationship, something shifts. You remember who you are. You remember who He is. You remember that even in silence, He's been with you all along. Prayer doesn't require a restart button. It only requires a willing heart. And if yours is stirring right now, that's all you need. Start again. Talk to Him on your way to work. Talk to Him while folding laundry. Talk to Him when you wake up, when you lie down, when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel nothing at all. That's how you rebuild. One conversation at a time. And guess what? It gets easier. It gets deeper. It becomes home again. Prayer isn't just something you do. It becomes the place where you are known, healed, seen, and strengthened. And once you come back to it, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. This isn't a call to be spiritual. This is a call to be close. God doesn't need you to be impressive. He just wants you to be available. So take the pressure off, let the guilt go, and come home. If this message speaks to you, comment below. I'm starting again today. Don't let shame silence your voice. Don't let the past define your future. And don't let another day go by without saying, God, I'm ready to talk again. You'll be surprised how quickly you feel at home. Because prayer was never about perfection. It was always about presence. And the one you pray to, He's been waiting, not with judgment, but with joy. Come back, not just to prayer, but to peace, to purpose, to presence, to the person you were always meant to be when you're walking closely with Him. It's not too late. You haven't gone too far. He's still here, and now you are too.